For the final episode, we're gonna head to Paducah, Kentucky. This community is known for its extensive network of lakes.
So I'm really interested in learning about how the community's working, particularly to combat a specific problem that has to do with carp fish.
And so we're gonna learn about how they're tackling this invasive species of Asian carp as a community and really working together like a small town can do. I'm always on the farm, and Lindsey's usually in her kitchen, and so to get us out and inspired by other people is really important.
We aim to educate viewers to learn how to cook from real ingredients for their family and friends. And we also want to encourage viewers to access those ingredients from their local farmers.
There's these beautiful rural landscapes, there's these tiny little towns, and I'm ready to explore them, and I'm ready to see what they're cooking and what's growing in their gardens.
This show is all about learning about different communities and their food culture and what makes them tick and how they work together, and Paducah could not be a better example of that.
It's a community surrounded by waterways, and it's a really artsy community that has so many things to do.
And we've heard about a great chef down there that we're excited to meet.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
So nice to see you. Thank you for having us.
Good to see you.
Y'all want to come check out some fish?
Yeah.
Please.
Come on in, I'll show you around.
Sarah goes beyond just being the chef and owner of Freight House. She left Paducah, worked at some of the most well-regarded restaurants in America, but chose to come back here because how much she loves her home.
So these are some of the mushrooms that we're going to use in the dish today. We're going to do Asian carp with a bean and mushroom succotash. Yeah, and then a little Nashville hot oil.
Okay.
All right. Sarah loves carp for many reasons, but one of the reasons that she's been embracing it is because it is a problem in the Paducah community. It's an invasive species that's taken over their waterways. So we've been hearing about carp, carp, carp is the name of the game down here. Was that been on the menu from day one for you?
It has been on the menu, it has never left.
And how do you source it?
We have a couple different fishermen that fish for us, and then it comes into Fin Gourmet, and they'll send them to you all packaged like this, ready to go.
So is it fresh for you? I mean, what's
Every
the time
day.
frame? Oh my gosh. So would you serve it raw then?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have.
Wow. So I'm expecting a baby, and I've been more, have to be more considerate of my diet. Is it a healthy fish then?
It is, and one of the really amazing parts about it is, heavy metals, they're heavy. They sink to the bottom. So fish that live up on the top, they're not consuming that much heavy metal. Plus, these are vegetarian fish. They're just a beautiful, healthy, white fish. Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure, I like to do them in small pieces about like this size.
I cannot wait to see this and taste it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So what is farm to table to you? How do you describe your farm to table approach?
For me, the farm to table is more about the farmers that are around you. Years ago, we weren't getting exotic ingredients. We were buying things that were from close to home, and we were eating in the seasons because that's all we had access to. And I think that people need to go back to that. People say, like, Sarah, when are you going to put salmon on the menu? And I say, never. Yeah. Never.
Can you go fish salmon yet?
Yeah, because the salmon is days old by the time it gets to me.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where the money's going. I can't see it making a direct impact in my community, so I knew that fish was one thing that I had to make, really prominent and really important on my menu and kind of in my mission to, help people learn about what we have in this region.
Sarah sources as much as she can locally and really takes in everything that Paducah has to offer.
Being able to visit her restaurant and see her ethics come out as she's teaching us how to cook this Asian carp was really interesting.
And then we'll turn this flame almost completely off. Big old piece of butter.
Oh, beautiful.
And then just cooks the rest of the way. There's no heat on at all. This ingredient really speaks to all of those things that are beneficial and are powerful about food and about local food. You guys want to go try it?
Yes, I'd love to.
Right now.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for cooking with us. We're cooking for us.
It's not a hard fish to cook at all. You have to work to get your hands on it, but it's such an easy fish, and it's so forgiving too.
This is delicious.
It is. And I love the fresh salad on top.
I'm not sure if it's the piquillo pepper where I'm getting the spice in that bite or it's from the oil, but either way, I love it.
Yeah, the lima bean's incredible.
Yeah. So I really appreciate the fact that you are calling this exactly what it is. I've seen it on menus named differently, but what really drove you to say, okay, this is carp, it's what we have here?
Well, when we first opened, we called it River Carp, and we sold 0 pieces, literally 0 at all. And then we started calling it Kentucky Blue Snapper. That's one of the names that you might see it on menus as. And then I just decided I'm not gonna hide behind it. I'm not gonna try to rebrand it. It's something that when you're telling people about it, you know, you can also educate them a little bit on why it's important.
I'm only hearing positive aspects to this, so it's hard to think why we wouldn't just take it on as a community.
You know, me just serving it is not solving the problem. It's just not even making a dent in the population. As the fishermen bring it in, they're able to find more and more ways to utilize this fish. And, you know, I think that it's really an important part of, you know, what this restaurant stands for and an important part of the Western Kentucky economy to continue to fish this.
So what is success to you? What is all this for?
Once I opened the restaurant, and within days, I told my parents, I said, I have all these people now that work for me, 25 people. And for me now, success is not just about me. It's about seeing this city do better. There are so many people who are kind of my age, who have gone away and they've moved back and they've decided that they want to do something new. You pair that with people who have been here for years and who have been working hard for years to try and make Paducah better. And we have all of these things that are happening other than just being, you know, a little town in Western Kentucky. The other great part is that this community has really come together to focus on what we can do for this fish. We realize that it is here and there's a problem and we have to, you know, we have to work to solve the problem and we need to do it together.
Is it peaceful in the mornings at first?
Oh yeah. There's nothing like a good sunrise.
I knew that to really understand the issue of Asian carp, I needed to get out on the water. And so it was nice to get with Marcus Mann, the fisherman, and really experience fishing firsthand with him.
And how many different nets do you have?
I think we've got out 8 today.
I was honestly expecting fish to be jumping all over the place. When you hear about Asian carp, you hear about how they jump into the boats.
Ooh. Ooh.
This is silver carp.
Is that a good size?
That's the size our market wants right now. So
Yay.
if we can get that, we'll be doing good.
I didn't want to just be a lame duck sitting on a boat. I wanted to actually get my hands dirty, help them out, and see what it was like to be a fisher farmer.
Try to keep her in the center of the bag. We're going to teach you right. Reach down there close to it.
Okay.
Just get a handful of that webbing
Yeah.
and just pick him on in here. Perfect.
Okay.
And what is that? This is a...
Another silver carp.
Woo! And they don't hop back out? Or they do?
He's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
No!
If you would have come back here when I was in high school, you wouldn't see one of these. It's just,
Really?
It's just crazy how the population has just exploded. It's definitely invasive, that's for sure. And they bully the other fish and kind of, you know, root them out of the area, I think. And that's made, you know, sport fishing a lot more difficult. Little guy. That's what we want to see in the lake. That's a bait fish.
Really?
It's a shad, yep. The carp are feeding on what the bait fish are feeding on.
What is pricing like?
The prices are going to vary between 17 and 22 cents a pound, depending on the size and the type of fish.
Okay.
But that's the thing with the price right now is you do need to be pushing, you know, a couple thousand pound a day to really be getting along, making some dollars at it.
I mean, I can see why someone would want this as a job and a lifestyle. It's absolutely stunning.
Fishing is an immense amount of effort, and you don't stop until the work's done. And so it was one of those things where you go in there and you just can't have any expectations. All types of farming are like this. You have to just believe and trust that it's gonna work.
So what do you like about fishing and being out on the water?
I just growing up doing it and learning the lake. It's just not something everybody can do.
Yeah. Yeah, you have generational knowledge.
Right.
You say you're
I've got a
fourth
leg up on
generation?
some people, yes ma'am, 4th generation. Actually got a great place to tie nets at.
Really?
My grandmother lets me use her basement.
Oh, nice.
Until she wants to do something down there and she makes me clean it up. You don't want to hang on to it though, right? You just constantly want to.
Fishing with markers was one of the most thrilling things I've done in a while. And so it was really this incredible adrenaline rush to be able to catch the fish and then get it into the boat safely and then move on to the next.
For 16 years now, I've made a living doing this. So.
That's really something to be proud of.
It is, yeah.
It's tough, you know, but it's one of the most rewarding things, I think, to really work with your hands and like collect something and feed people.
The satisfaction of, you know, just helping the waterways and then helping people as far down as the grocery stores and waitresses and things. It's covering so many people. It's just really neat.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most exciting thing I've done. This is really fun.
We're going to get these fish on ice and get them back to our processor as quick as we can.
Marcus was very passionate about what he does. He's a great example of someone who really loves this community and is trying to make the waterways better.
I'm excited to meet up with Maggie, hear all about her fishing excursion, and to learn about Fin Gourmet, who helped take the fish from the waters and connect them with the chefs in the community. Hi, Jessica. I'm Lindsey.
Hi, Lindsey.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having us out. Well, I definitely would love to see the next half of the process. I know they've been pulling nets all morning.
We got 750, Marcus.
750 pounds?
Yes, ma'am.
Well done.
So this is where we start our day. Brandon, he come in and he was a master at filleting. I've been here longer and he kicks me off his fish table. I can't do it to save my life. We bring it in, we make a boneless fillet, which we're the only place in the United States that can do that. And we also turn it into chaka, which is just the fish patty. It's a very firm fish, it's really healthy, it's high in omega-3 fatty acids, it's high in protein, just things that you wouldn't imagine.
One of the major barriers for this fish is it's really hard to clean and to debone. So Fin Gourmet has come up with a top secret way of making that an easier process. It's pretty incredible to see how they're breaking this fish down and ensuring it's getting out to not just the Paducah community, but all across the United States. So what is the potential for this fish in terms of how it's affecting the community? I mean, you all started this business because of a need to address the carp population, correct?
Correct. We are bringing in second chance jobs for people that are, you know, have an addiction or have been to prison, things like that. So it brings them in here and it brings them into a family. We're like a big family here. We work together, we celebrate together, we do holidays together. I look forward to coming into work every day, and so do my guys. So it's really good for the community. It gives them a sense of belonging, where a lot of places you go in, you make minimum wage and you go home.
Sarah wanted us to join her on a visit to a farm where she sources a lot of the ingredients for her restaurant. We couldn't have been more excited to meet some of the local farmers and to learn a little bit more about the Paducah farming community.
How are you? I wanted to introduce you to some friends.
Hi, I'm Lindsey.
Hi, Lindsay. I'm Meg.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Maggie.
So how old is this farm? How long has it been in your family?
Great-grandpa started in 1921. Then my great-uncle took over it. They kind of sold it to us 2 years ago.
And now our kids are growing up in the great aunt and uncle's home, so.
Aww. How often would you say you come and restock?
We hit a farm stand almost every single day.
Wow. And you were saying there's a specific variety you have in the pumpkin soup you have on your menu right now, right?
Yes.
Would you show it to us?
Of course.
I was
Come
super
on back.
curious. Yeah.
These guys right here, these Kirchhoff Pumpkins, after talking with Meg, she told me, you gotta try these, and we started using them. It has this just really interesting pumpkin flavor, but it's not like straight, that like kind of pumpkin flavor you're used to. This is a little different, so.
Well, I'm gonna get a couple of these guys, Maggie. Would you please? All right.
I'm gonna get these two.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these big boys.
I was really happy to have Sara there with us so we could learn more about the local produce that she uses and how she likes to shop at these markets.
Are you gonna take some apple cider to sip on while you cook?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yummy.
That can be
Or
your
maybe
wine
some
replacement.
ice.
Yeah. The amount of pumpkins they had there made me so excited.
Will you share with me?
Of course.
Because this is so
I'm
fun.
gonna go a little crazy.
I was gonna say.
Well, we have our fall festival coming up, so
That's
I feel like I
true.
need to. I like 3 of things.
I think that is correct. Yes.
I'm gonna get one more.
I feel like I'm gaining a better and better understanding of the local flavor of Paducah.
I'm so excited for us to cook for Sara and Marcus, and I'm really excited to cook the fish that we caught.
And we couldn't be more grateful to Sara's friend for opening her house to us. I'm excited to take what we've learned from Sara, which is so much,
Yes.
and go home and just really become that much better of a home cook, but also to use some of those ideas today. Today we're making a cushaw soup, and we're also going to do a cornmeal encrusted Asian carp. We're going to take some local lettuces and toss them with some pickled vegetables and add that as a topping to the carp.
We had this incredible squash soup at Sara's restaurant, and so Lindsey and I were really inspired to try to make a squash soup interesting.
Hers was served chilled, and one of the biggest aspects of the soup that I enjoyed or was inspired by were the various textures she incorporated. It was absolutely fantastic, and so I'm really excited to take what we learned from her and apply it to our recipe today.
I thought it was really interesting that the soup last night was chilled. I've never had a chilled pumpkin soup before.
She really thought of everything, and I think it's those types of things when you're like, oh, this is what it means to be a professional chef.
Yeah,
you know?
and for you as like a home cook, when you go out and eat this meal, like how do you then bring it home to your level?
You know, the idea there is like, okay, she's adding a lot of texture. So in our soup today, what can we do to add texture? So we're gonna have some toasted pumpkin seeds that we're gonna put on top. That'll add some crunch. And we're also gonna have a different apple that we picked up yesterday. That it's a Granny Smith, so it's going to have more of a tanginess. We'll cut that up really small. So I think as a home cook, it's just, what do I have accessible to me?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Although I do wanna now, from here on out, always go shopping with a professional chef.
Yes. I didn't realize that apple skin was a natural pectin. Sara was telling us that.
Yeah, that was such an interesting tip. And she was saying you can roast the skins and add them in, or you can just saute them. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna saute them in with our onion and our garlic.
How long did it take to cook the squash?
For about 30 minutes,
Oh,
tossing
great.
partway through. And we just roasted this very simply with olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. So we're just gonna toss all of that in there.
Love the sound
I
of cooking
know,
onions.
me too. We're gonna add just a little bit of salt that'll help start the onions sweating up. All right, great. If you wanna toss that for us, we'll let that cook
Okay.
down.
You can really smell the apples in here, like
can you?
sweetening it up, yeah.
Gorgeous. So you can see the onions have sauteed down. You can smell them, but I can smell the apple.
Yeah.
I think these are tips that you just don't know when you
Yes.
cook at home, to use those apple skins and to not waste anything. Let's go ahead and add our squash in.
Okay, yeah, we want sort of like a apple to squash ratio. What do we want that ratio
I think we
to
want
be?
just maybe like 2/3 squash to, you know, a little more than a third apple. First, we need to add a little liquid to help kind of break the apples down. So we're gonna add about 1.5 cups of water. And then, speaking of apples, we picked up some apple cider. So we're gonna add about 1/2 cup of that.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then about 1/8 teaspoon or a good pinch of nutmeg. You don't need too much. A teaspoon of cumin.
Yeah, that smokiness of the cumin you can really smell.
Well, that'll kind of counter everything else we have going on, which I think will be a really positive thing. And then Maggie, if you want to add, let's do about 1/2 teaspoon.
Okay.
We can always add more. We can never take away.
Yes.
And then I'd say go with about 1/4 teaspoon
Okay.
of the pepper. Then we're just gonna mix this all together. We're gonna pop it back on the stove. We're gonna let The apples soften up some and just cook down for just a few minutes. It shouldn't take any more than 10 minutes. So this smells delicious.
Yes, it does.
And all we need is to make it a creamy, delicious soup.
Okay, well, let's get it in the blender then, right?
Yes, yes. Ours is cooled down a little bit, but when you are blending hot ingredients, it's important that you do it in small batches and you allow some airflow.
Right. This is a really powerful blender.
Until it's not. A little more apple cider wouldn't be a bad idea. That looks a lot smoother. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's looking good.
It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, on to carp.
Yay.
And so what's extremely exciting about this fish is you caught this yesterday with Marcus.
Yes. You know, it was a really special experience for me, and I would definitely do it again.
Here, I've got some trimmings. What Sarah taught us is you really want to make sure your fillets are the similar size.
Yes.
That way they cook the right way.
Sarah also used the extra trimmings and smoked them and made dips out of them.
Exactly.
Had all different iterations of each piece of the fish.
Yes. So they're by no means, going to waste.
Yes.
But we just want to make sure we keep things nice and simple. So this one's already pretty well trimmed up.
Yes.
Well, I think we have some beautiful fillets here, and I'm gonna wash my hands off. Do you wanna get our breading going?
Sure.
So we've got in here equal parts rice flour as well as cornmeal, and then we're just gonna do a buttermilk egg for our wet part of the breading.
Okay, so like 2 eggs to 2 cups of buttermilk?
Exactly, so if you wanna whisk the eggs up and then dump the buttermilk in there. You wanna season it, so I'm just gonna add a little salt. We'll add just a dash of pepper in there if you wanna mix that in for me. But we need to season this as well. A teaspoon of salt should be good in there because that's a lot of flour and cornmeal. 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And then, because it's my favorite thing ever, your red pepper flakes. We want to add a little heat to this.
So I did about 1/2 teaspoon.
Perfect. And then I'm going to just do some salt. We'll just do one side of the carp. So we're just going to dredge the fillets in here. We just want to make sure they're fully coated. And then we're just going right into our batter. This is where the dry hand is so helpful.
Yes.
And we'll fry these up in batches, and then what you can do is just turn your oven on warm or like 200 degrees, and as they come out of the fryer, immediately put a little bit of salt on them.
Okay.
And then just pop them in the warm oven, and that should keep them warm and crisp without overcooking them. Sarah had told us one of her favorite things about carp is how many different ways you can use it, and it really was a very sturdy fish to work with. So frying it was quite easy. It wasn't threatening to fall apart. It held together nicely, but also remained really tender.
How's it going?
Good. The first batch is almost done.
It looks delicious, that brown crispiness you have.
Then all we want to do for our salad is just dress it really lightly with some olive oil and then with a little bit of red wine vinegar over there. Perfect. And then just a little salt and pepper. We have a little bit of green onion in here, some mint, which I think is kind of a very Kentucky thing to do. Okay, soup time.
Great.
It's been sitting nice and warm. Perfect.
It's gorgeous.
I think it's beautiful. All right, let's keep garnishing these up. Hope you're hungry.
Oh, this looks beautiful.
So Sarah, you completely inspired us by your beautiful garnishing yesterday.
It's gorgeous.
Here we go.
Oh, it smells delicious.
Carp.
Have you had pumpkin soup?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
It is delicious.
Good.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I love that there's like crunch and there's texture. The raw apple is.
I enjoy the heat. The heat
Yeah.
is perfect.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you've started the process of, tackling the carp overpopulation.
Right.
What else needs to happen? I mean, there's still a lot more to do, it sounds like.
I don't think you're gonna hear restaurant owners say this much, or maybe ever. I mean, it would increase the price for us, but I think that paying the fishermen a better price per pound for the fish would really drive more people to fish it, because that's the only way we can fix the problem, to get them, out of the waters and hope to save some of the native species, is to incentivize it. And so I think that having our state and having, even like at the local level, having people incentivize fishermen and restaurants who serve it and people who buy it at the store, I think that's really going to be what makes it grow and makes it, end up on people's dinner tables more often.
With enough fish out there, you just got to go to work.
Yeah.
But all of us working together like this, that's what's going to solve it.
Marcus and Sara had such positive energy. They were really wanting to dig in, be a part of this bigger movement.
So surprisingly, this is the first time anyone has ever cooked carp for me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's still delicious.
We're honored.
It was really fun because Sara has seen Marcus's name on all the fish packages, but she hadn't actually met him yet. So it's really fun to facilitate that meeting and to have them around a table together with us.
Paducah is yet another great example of how a community can turn a problem into an opportunity.
To be able to go into these communities and have them share their stories with us has meant a lot to me. You realize how important it is to learn from each other and to be a part of something bigger than just yourself.
People are being creative and industrious with food at the heart of it all, and continues to inspire me, and I've been so grateful for all the different parts of the state that we've gotten to experience.